Watch this creation scientists make quick work of the theory of evolution.
Let me ask you this question, which is, why are you so interested in this biblical story as opposed to any other biblical story?
Well, that is because, first of all, Jesus believed in the flood model, and it's the basis for the entire authenticity of the Bible. If you can prove that the Genesis story is false, you have destroyed the entire belief system on which Christianity is based. So that's why we use this model to show people that Noah's Ark was real and that the story is true.
Well, couldn't the story have been symbolic, metaphor for other kinds of events that took place? How about creation? Couldn't that have been symbolic or metaphorical in the language that's there?
Well, it is possible, but when we look at the four postulates of creation and we compare them with the four postulates of evolution, only the postulates of creation have been observed. Evolution is based on four major ideas. None of them have ever been observed. Number one, that life comes from non-life. We have not one single example of life coming from non-life. Number two, that all the life forms that we have today came from single-cell life forms. Many people do not know that while we do have single-cell life forms that we call bacteria, we have no two-celled life forms, we don't have three-cell life forms, we don't have four-cell life forms, we don't even have five-cell life forms. That is, we go from single-cell bacteria to complex life forms. So there's no evidence that all life comes from single-cell life forms. The third postulate of evolution is that time and chance drive evolution forward, of course, and time works against evolution. The chance of one simple 100-unit protein coming together by accident this is a very big number. Time and chance make evolution absolutely impossible. The fourth postulate that evolution is based on is that what we see today, minor genetic variation in species, is evidence of macroevolution. So because cats are different colors, dogs are different sizes, that means that fish turned into cows. And of course, we know that that's not true because Mendel proved that all the genes that exist today, you can shuffle them around, but there are no new genes that were created.
Wow, I thought that was incredible. Now, before anybody goes into the comment section and criticizes his education, where he got his degrees from, where he goes to school, the Bible and the theory of all this stuff, before anybody says those things, please speak to his arguments. Please show evidence of abiogenesis, life coming from non-life. Please speak to cells. Please speak to the time and chance argument, the odds of one protein forming by chance. Please enlighten us on the odds of that happening, the number. Please enlighten us on microevolution jumping to macroevolution, how variations in species can become different forms altogether. Please enlighten us on those things. Please speak to the arguments. Don't move the goalposts. Don't talk about another argument. Talk about these, because we would like to know the evidence for evolution, concrete evidence, not microevolution. That happens. The Bible talks about that in Genesis chapter 1. God created animals, species, to produce after their own kind, and there's going to be variation within that kind, but they're still the same kind of species. It's not giant leaps. It's the same species. Please speak to those things. We would like to know.
Where there's a design, there must be a designer. We see codes in DNA. Codes are evidence of intelligence because you have to translate from one language to another. We have not a single example of that happening by accident. Life that we see today are the basic kinds of animals and plant life that were originally created. So we can test that. You can breed dogs, you can breed cats, but you can't breed cats with dogs. So there are limits to how far we can go. And lastly, that is, Earth experienced a worldwide flood in approximately 2500 BC, 1656 years after the world was created. The world is filled with limestone. Limestone is sedimentary rock. It precipitates out of water. The entire earth was filled with water. Every mountain chain in the world, including Everest, has sea life on top of that mountain. The mountains rose out of the water, so we know that there was a worldwide flood.
Let me pose a question to you, and Mark and Lise, feel free to jump in this. And that is this. Most people who don't believe in God aren't card-carrying members of the atheist club. They haven't studied molecular biology.
Yes.
Why don't they believe in God? What is the struggle there?
Neil, I'm going to tell you, that's a very good question. My answer to that is probably because most of them has not actually seen the evidence that supports the Bible. And that is my job, to actually show them. You're right. Most people are somewhere drifting, somewhere in the middle. This is a war for ideas. And it's my job to combat these forces of error, particularly in secular campuses, in universities, which is where I work and teach, and show that the evidence supports God's word. God is a God of science.
He has a good point. Most people have not seen the evidence for the Bible because they've written off creation, they've written off the Bible. But I'll take it a step back. They have seen the evidence, but they're looking at the evidence through their presuppositions. They're assuming things before they see the evidence. So the evidence that they're looking at is skewed based on their assumptions about the world they live in. We have to look at the evidence at face value and come to a reasonable conclusion.
You see that camera right there? There are people who are watching right now. There are people who are struggling with their faith in God. If you were to look at that camera right there and you were to talk to someone who was struggling, who is maybe a skeptic, someone wrestling with doubt, what would you say to them?
I would say, hold on. The evidence is there. God is interested in you. He respects who you are. If you read, if you study, if you seek him with all your heart, you will find him. He has promised you that. The evidence is there, and I am here to help.
Faith is not believing in a fairy tale. Faith is trusting in God, and God has given us very good evidence to believe in him. He's given us evidence through creation. He's given us evidence through our conscience. He's given us evidence through the person and work of Jesus Christ, who was a real person who lived. He's given us so much evidence, and he's given the world, the church, people like myself, this guy, to speak and to highlight videos and information that helps you understand those things. So God has provided a preponderance of evidence, plenty of evidence for you to make a decision and to choose him. As he says, seek and ask for God to show you himself, to reveal himself. He will show you himself. He will come into your heart. He will save you. Believe that Christ died and was raised on the third day. Believe those things and you will be saved from eternal judgment. If you enjoyed this video, you want more content like this, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, like this video. I'll be back next week with another one. This is Pastor Frederick. This is About a Book. Peace.